Hello everyone, my name is Ishan Singh. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Fresno, California. I attend Sunnyside High School and this is my documentary called Meri, Mitti. What inspired me to make this film was basically the lack of recognition and the lack of appreciation of diversity that's occurring within our world. We live in a world where we have different types of people from different areas of the world. And these types of people, the diverse people within our world, are having their own issues too. But not many issues are being verbalized or heard, especially in nations so powerful like ours. In this documentary, I focused on the farmer protests of India. And the reason I focused on this protest was mainly because this protest affected me as a whole. I am a Sikh Punjabi individual who comes from a family of farmers from India. This issue, this protest that is occurring within India, is something that hits home with me. It is something that I am fighting for, something that I truly care for. And I believe it is something that needs to be heard. This protest has become one of the biggest protests to ever occur within human history, within mankind's history. But again, in places all across the world where all types of media, where all types of news is being shared, no information was being shared about this documentary. There was no recognition occurring. I wanted to create this documentary so my people can have a voice, so the people of India can have their voices be heard, have their rights be given, and have their issues be solved. I can let the world know that this is Meri Mitti, this is our land. What I hope that people take away the most from my documentary is just more knowledge about the types of people that live in the world, the types of issues that are occurring within our world, and again, at the end of the day, an appreciation for the diversity that we have. I believe knowledge is power, and the more we know, the more we can solve. What we do now will affect our future. If we can't figure our issues out now, if we can't resolve the conflicts, if we can't put an end to the protests that are occurring, I can tell you that stability will not be in our future. My name is Ishan Singh. This is my film, Meri Mitti. Sat Sri Akal and Waheguru.
Pao poe pavit pani sat santok baled hal halemi hali chit cheta vatar vakat sanjog now beej bakshish bol dunya sagal darog nanak nadari karam hoye jave sagal vijog. September 17th, 2020. A day of division within the country of India. A day of separation between the holy farmers of the nation and the overruling government. On September 17th, 2020, 3 agricultural laws were passed by the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. 3 laws that would forever change the lives of Kisans. 1. The Farmers' Produce Trade and Commerce Act, an act that is said to enable farmers to sell their goods outside of the Agricultural Produce Market Committee and to license whole traders at mutually agreed prices. In reality, this law will slowly lead to the abolishment of the minimum support price in markets powered by the Agricultural Produce Market Committee, forcing farmers to sell their produce to private companies. 2. The Farmers' Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Act, an act that will enable farmers to participate in contract farming and market their produce as freely as they wish. What's wrong with this? Well, this law will make farmers more prone to being targets of private attacks and force them to be leached by private companies. 3. The Essential Commodities Act, an act that will allow items like pulses, oils, onions, and food grains to be free for trade, which will negatively affect farmers by causing there to be price differences within the country. Agriculture serves to be the country's main life force, helping to support the 1.3 billion lives that exist within it. But now with these possible laws, those lives are at risk. One side now fights to preserve their livelihoods and those of their children's, while the other side fights to make a greater, more powerful nation. Now, those fights have been taken to the streets of India as protests. Thousands to millions of farmers, supporters, and advocates have taken to the streets of New Delhi, Los Angeles, London, San Francisco, and even New York to voice their frustrations with the Indian government and show their support for the farmers across the fertile lands. this isn't enough. It's almost been 6 months, roughly 24 weeks, 180 days, 4,320 hours, 259,000 minutes, and 15,552,000 seconds. And all this time, the farmers of India have been fighting for their rights and have received no solution. The conflict remains within the country. Other powers of the world might have a slight perception about the issues occurring, but do not have the capabilities to take action. The media provides falsified information, Twitter accounts have been suspended, hashtags related to the protest have been taken down, and foreign voices have been silenced. The farmers of India continue to fight this long-lasting battle, but for how long can they keep their spirits high? The farmers will fight to save their lands and families, but who will fight to save the farmers of India? The voices of those in distress can be heard all across the world, and the voices of farmers in India can now be heard amongst our youth. Some of those youth are Charan Kamal Padda and Amarpreet Kaur, two Punjabi students from universities within California.
My name is Charan Kamal Padda. I'm of age 21, and my position is that I'm a student at the University of California at Davis. And about the farmers protest, I'm involved with the farmers protest because I myself am Jat, I'm of the Jat caste, which means farming. It's from I come from a farming background. My grandparents and ancestors were all farmers, and to this day, my family still owns farmland in our ancestral village in Punjab, India.
My name is Amarpreet. I'm 21 years old. I'm currently a student at UC Berkeley. I'm studying social welfare and public policy. So given my knowledge in policy, I have a bit of a deeper understanding of the farmers' protest, as well as my involvement in advocacy and social justice.
Speaking to these educated individuals, discussions regarding the issues and conflicts that plague the farmers of India came to rise, all starting with the individuals behind the agricultural laws and the effects they propose to see.
Two businesses that I know of for sure are the Adani Group and Reliance Industries. And these are the two largest corporations with headquarters in India. They're by far the richest in terms of the amount of wealth that they have. And their CEOs, Mukesh Ambani and Gautam Adani, are the two richest men in the country. And so if agriculture is privatized, it is corporations like these that are going to benefit the most.
I think it is all driven by money, clearly. If money wasn't an issue, none of this would be happening. And because it's all driven by money, it's driven by, more broadly, capitalism. These corporations are trying to get as much as they can from the little guy being the farmers. And the farmers have a little protection, We can see that the farmers are not necessarily in the most ideal state pre these laws, right? There has been a drastic increase in the number of farmers suicides, right? And this was before these laws have even been passed. So imagine what's going to happen after these laws are passed.
From what Charan Kamal and Amarpreet said themselves, a struggle for power exists. Common farmers in India with just enough money in their pockets to feed their families are going against multi-billion-dollar companies and individuals. The flaw in India's government exists right here. Modi's government chooses to value materialistic rupees over the soul of his citizens. The greedy government of India wishes to appease those with significant wealth and power rather than the farmers of the country's fertile lands. This is where Modi made a mistake, for the farmers of India are a lot more to the country than just its slaves. Both Charan Kamal and Amarpreet discuss the importance of Kisans in India.
India also has the world's second largest population, which is a population that's constantly growing. It's predicted that by 2050, India is going to be the most populous country in the world. And so in order to feed such a large population, the country really needs to grow food. And that can best be done by the farmers of the country. And for other parts of the world, farmers are very important just all over the world in general because people need food to live. So who's gonna grow the food? It's farmers who are gonna do that. So
food is something that every human needs, comes from farmers. So therefore, farmers are ingrained in our everyday lives. And some of us see it, some of us don't. And because farmers are necessary for our everyday lives, they are literally necessary for life.
Life. That's exactly what the farmers of India have given up when it comes to the issues of these agricultural laws. The recognition they don't receive and the power that is taken from them leads them to risk their lives. Recent studies have shown that up to 7.9% of suicides within the country have originated from the farming sector. In the last year alone, India has lost up to 6,000 farmers and 4,500 agricultural laborers to suicide. It's said that every day, 28 people dependent on farming die by suicide in India. These laws that Modi's government proposes aren't bringing life to the tricolor nation. They're bringing death upon its people. While all hope may be lost for India, why should others within the world care for the farmer protests? Why should others within the world speak out against the injustices that are occurring? My friends, we're all a family. No matter the color of your skin, the God you believe in, the type of food you eat, where you're from, or where you now live, we are all human. We belong to one race, and that is the human race. We are all connected. What affects some people in one part of the world can have a tremendous effect on others across the world. Our actions define us. Charan Kamal is well aware of this belief and provided some input of why others should support the farmers' protests.
I believe that one of the biggest reasons that I believe everyone should support these protests is everyone should support the right to freedom of speech and the right to peacefully protest. So when the protests first began, there were many attempts made to prevent farmers from reaching the capital city. So like roads were dug up and barricades were set up in the middle of highways, and farmers were beat with batons by police officers, and they were blasted with dirty and cold water from sewers coming out of water cannons. And, India calls itself the world's largest democracy. And in my opinion, it does have the full potential of becoming a very great democracy. But if free speech is being suppressed in India like this, that is a matter of concern, because the world's largest democracy itself is not upholding the values of democracy in the way that it should. And this is a threat to all democracy worldwide.
If we don't act now, the lives of farmers within India will be put at further risks. And sooner or later, the world itself will be at risk. If we lose our farmers, no matter where they are or where they come from, we will lose the most hardworking, honest, and noble people this world has yet to see. If we lose our farmers, we will lose our lives. The government of India refuses to support its people. So now it's up to the external powers or countries of the world to step in and provide, if nothing more, than their support. It's up to people like us to speak for those who are being silenced. We must take the power, rights, freedom, and liberties that we've been given and spread them across the world to those without, especially in India as of right now. Take to social media. Spread the news about the farmer protests of India and the negative effects the proposed agricultural laws are having upon the livelihood of farmers. Attend local rallies or protests that might be occurring within your city or state. Reach out to local Punjabi or advocating organizations around you and find out how you can make a difference. If we let this issue die out, we will be letting millions of innocent lives die out as well. It's now up to us to bring freedom to the oppressed farmers of India. It's up to us now to make the fertile lands of India blossom green again and have the 5 rivers flow with water and not the tears of crying families. It's up to us to make a change. Kisans Zindabad. Waheguru.